The End of Oak Street is in theaters now. Let's talk a little bit about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I want to be a fighter, like you.
Oh, let it burn! Let it burn!
Did you miss me?
You have to shoot them in the head. They always come back.
The boat can leave now. Tell the crew.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Good luck.
Hey everybody, I'm KillJoy Jake, and I'm still wondering why a family in 1982 named their dog after a small coffee shop in Seattle at the time. That still makes more sense to me than advertising this very human-made film with an AI-generated dog podcast, that is. The End of Oak Street follows the Platt family, who struggle with keeping secrets from each other, as well as wormholes sucking their peaceful early 80s suburban neighborhood back to prehistoric times. The flick notably stars Anne Hathaway, who has been busy this year with major roles in The Devil Wears Prada 2 and Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. She's also about to give birth pregnant, as we saw at the premiere of this film. Is there anything that Anne Hathaway can't do? Her husband is played by Ewan McGregor, who horror fans may recognize as older Danny Torrance in Dr. Sleep, or how I know him as younger Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hey, at least that last prequel film was good.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
Some other notable cast members are PJ Byrne, a character actor that I've seen die in a plethora of horror films now, like Final Destination 5 and Countdown, as well as Christian Convery, who played both young Hal and Bill in Oz Perkins the Monkey. He also played young Victor Frankenstein in Del Toro's Netflix Frankenstein. What especially caught my eye about this project in particular is who was at the helm directing. This is the fourth feature film from David Robert Mitchell, who made one of my all-time favorite horror movies, It Follows.
Everything's okay.
Sadly, Disasterpiece does not do the score on this one, but don't feel too sad because it is still a Michael Giacchino score. It would be ridiculous to complain about that. Oh no, my lobster is too buttery. Oh no, my steak is perfectly cooked. The other big noticeable thing about this movie that you likely picked up on from the trailer is that it is a clear love letter to Steven Spielberg films as well as Amblin Entertainment. This film is also super personal for director David Robert Mitchell, which we'll talk about a little later on in today's video once we get to the spoiler section. I also have to mention that J.J. Abrams is a producer on this flick, someone that I still have a fondness for. I mean, Lost is one of the greatest television series of all time in my opinion, but I do understand a major criticism of the guy being that he makes a lot of movies that are kind of just worse versions of already great films. I have a feeling that some people are gonna walk away from Oak Street having some similar feelings. It can get very pastiche at times. There's a goofy moment early on involving a massive pile of dino dung that can't be mistaken as anything other than a JP reference, and a plot device that is ripped straight out of an uber popular movie Mr. Spielberg's company produced back in the mid-80s. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then this is gonna get real heavy, Doc. While the nods are cool and honestly a little expected, one might ask themselves if this movie ever actually finds its way to stand on its own 2 feet. Does this movie do more than just reference movies from the past and glue a bunch of different plot points of other Steven Spielberg or Robert Zemeckis projects together? I would say yes, but at the same time, I think this movie could have done something, one little tiny change that would have made it an all-timer. We'll talk more about that specifically in the spoiler section at the end of this video, but first let's talk about some non-spoilery positives. Oak Street is shockingly more violent than you would ever expect, with a clear influence being something like Jurassic Park, which is a little more family-friendly. If you're looking for an actually scary dinosaur blockbuster, End of Oak Street can deliver on that at times. There are 2 intense sequences smack dab in the middle of this film that I think are some of my favorite sequences ever involving dinosaurs. That is high praise from a guy who thinks Jurassic Park is one of the greatest films ever made. On the other side of that coin though, there are entire action sequences from this film ripped straight from different Jurassic Park sequels. Sometimes I wish they would have done like a little more with these scenes to make them their own. My favorite example of this in the film, however, is a scene involving a Spinosaurus trying to get to some tasty humans trapped inside of a burning vehicle. Although this is literally just the plane crash scene from Jurassic Park 3, you put a Spinosaurus in your dinosaur movie. You've won me over, David Robert Mitchell. Look, I'm a little biased here. The Spinosaurus is my favorite dinosaur. Let's rock and roll. Yeah, the scene rocks. I also have to praise the gorgeous cinematography here. Mike Giulikis reteamed with David Robert Mitchell to shoot this flick after doing the cinematography on It Follows, all the way back in 2014. You can tell it's the same guy that shot It Follows because of how many 360 shots are in this movie. There are famously a couple of those in It Follows that totally rock. Not only is there like 10 of them here in End of Oak Street, Street, but there's also like a million split diopter shots.
Our whole street has moved.
Are we sure this wasn't Lee Cronin's cinematographer shooting this film? Because there are almost more split diopter shots in this movie than Lee Cronin's The Mummy from earlier this year. And that is saying something.
Hey, Butterfly. It's Mom and Dad.
On a dorky side note, I love that those are coming back into more modern movies. There's a few killer ones in Evil Dead Rise and Terrifier 3 as well. Sorry for spending almost an entire paragraph of this review just talking about split diopter dorky shit, but anyways, let's get back to the review. I would totally recommend this film to any Jurassic Park fan, especially someone who maybe wasn't as impressed with the Jurassic World films. It's basically a 2-hour-long version of the third act of The Lost World. Dinosaurs destroy a suburb and terrorize unsuspecting civilians. It's thrilling, well-paced, and has a lot of heart at its core. The flick isn't perfect by any means, but at least in my opinion, I'll take End of Oak Street all day over all 4 of the Jurassic World movies. Old Jake here is saying that this is theater-worthy. Go see it this weekend. Alright, we're gonna get into some spoilers for End of Oak Street, so if you have not seen the film yet, go check it out this weekend and then come on back. I'm begging you not to watch the rest of this if you haven't seen the film yet. There is a great big surprise smack dab in the middle of this movie that won me over to the film. Please don't have that spoiled by some sweaty guy with way too long of hair on the internet. I really did enjoy Oak Street, but the second act is where this movie comes alive. The big scene of the movie that I know everyone is going to be talking about is when Greg saves his wife from an Allosaurus and is immediately eaten alive in a shockingly crazy moment. It is so unexpectedly brutal. He gets his leg torn off in this moment where blood is just spraying out of his nasty ass stump. All that Anne Hathaway can do in this scene is just kind of walk away while there's a big fucking Allosaurus hanging out in the background eating her husband. It is heartbreaking for something this dark to happen in an Amblin feeling movie that's disarming you with its fun and familiar tone. It just comes across as so much more unexpected and so much more brutal. This scene immediately establishes that, oh yeah, we're going a little farther than Jurassic Park ever would. But on top of that, the next sequence I think is just as terrifying. After a brief moment of reprieve with the family reconciling with the death of their father, a stealthy giant snake sneaks into a window of the house and silently slithers downstairs. It is the best use of tension building in the entire film as Anne Hathaway nearly gets eaten alive by this gigantic behemoth. The thing about David Robert Mitchell is you can never really know what to expect from his films. His first feature film, The Myth of the American Sleepover, is a coming-of-age flick, and his third film, Under the Silver Lake, is a conspiracy thriller. All 4 of his feature films to date are completely different from one another. Even End of Oak Street, the way that it is able to generate horror, is completely different than what It Follows does. That kind of versatility makes David Robert Mitchell one of my favorite filmmakers who's making stuff today. I cannot wait for whatever the fuck the It Follows sequel is gonna be about. Bring it on. End of Oak Street is thankfully so much more than just a Jurassic Park fan film, and it briefly delivers the scary dino blockbuster that I really wanted 65 from 2023 to be. Talk about a stinker, man. Now, the third act of this film does kind of undo this in this moment that just feels so predictable. The surviving family members wormhole their way back to 1982, about 15-ish minutes before the neighborhood is transported back in time. They end up saving the town in a miraculous climax that just feels a little too happy for how dark this one got. Listen, I'm not a cynic who wants to see every story end in disaster. Yes, I love horror films, but I also love when the good guy triumphs evil. I just think that based on what was set up in the first act, this is exactly the way I thought this movie was going to end. And that second act just being so unpredictable and so shocking, I was just really hoping that energy would carry through to Act 3. It's got a fun, happy ending, which is great, and again, feels right at home with the Spielberg tone that they're trying to strike. But I think had this movie taken more of a bittersweet path with its ending, it could have earned all-timer status. Now, I can't be too upset about this because clearly this movie is a meditation on grief for the director, who actually lost his father 2 years ago based on something we see right before the rest of the credits roll. I'm guessing that this was a deeply personal project for David Robert Mitchell to make, and that's why I can't knock this decision too much. Even though I think an ending that focused on overcoming past mistakes and just being grateful for what you have now might have been the key to standing out against other Spielbergian flicks just like this one. I just can't say I walked away from it disappointed by any means. This is a killer summer feel-good movie that briefly dips its toe into straight horror. Here's another very good dinosaur flick that doesn't have Jurassic in the title. I can't complain about that, man. Hell yeah, I'm a fan. Rock on, End of Oak Street, baby. After a lot of consideration, I'm gonna give Oak Street a solid 8 out of 10 for warming my heart and making me shit my pants, and thankfully not at the same time. While the film only briefly dips its toe into uncharted territory considering its clear influences, I think Oak Street is still successfully entertaining and features a lovely ensemble. It's a great blockbuster to end the summer and feels cozy to movie fans that grew up with classic Spielberg flicks like me. Also, not that it's a competition, but End of Oak Street makes Disclosure Day its bitch. Before we wrap up today's video, please make sure to like it and subscribe to this page for more updates on the most exciting horror projects. You can also listen to horror updates on Spotify while you're on the go. Also, the best way to support this channel is by becoming a patron on Patreon. Over there, you can find a ton of bonus content like reactions to various horror TV shows and movies. We're currently watching Dexter and Hannibal with multiple episodes going up there a week. No, what? Check it out by clicking on the link in the description below. One final plug and I'll shut the heck up. Please make sure to also check out my film channel, Human Egg Productions, where we're currently posting horror and comedy short films.
Hey, Daddy, I'm gonna rip your nutsack out of your asshole!
See? Full deadite. I'm gonna have to put you down, boy.
If you like slashers especially, check out the gory short I wrote and directed called Chicken Man. Thank you to everyone who supports all of my pages. What did you guys think about the End of Oak Street? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.